Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we solve a column internal question. Give the stepwise output of Guess Jordon algorithm for the given matrix is here. Let's solve the question. Okay, here total equations are 4. So we write this matrix in this type of equation. 10a minus 7b plus 3c plus 5d is equal to 6 is equation number 1, and minus 6a plus 8b minus c minus 4d is equal to 5 is equation number 2, and 3a plus b plus 4c plus 11d is equal to 2 equation number 3, and 5a minus 9b minus 2c plus 4d is equal to 7 is equation number 4. So we converted this given equation into a matrix form. So here we write in the matrix form 10 minus 7 3 5 6 minus 6 8 minus 1 minus 4 5 and 3 1 4 11 2 and 5 minus 9 minus 2 4 and 7. So here we solve with the method of Gauss. So we solve the question is Gauss Jordan method. So we solve the matrix is using the Gauss Jordan method. So we need to reduce the coefficient matrix into the diagonal element. Okay. So we solve this matrix using the Gauss Jordan algorithm. So we need to reduce the coefficient matrix into the diagonal matrix. Okay, so here we put the first operation in R1 row 1 divided by 10. So here you see the row 1, so row 1 divided by 10, so 10 divided by 10 is equal to 1, minus 7 divided by 10, so 0 point minus 0 0.7, and 3 divided by 10, so the answer is 0 0.3. 5 divided by 10, so here we write a 0 0.5, and 6 divided by 10, so here we write a 0 0.6. So this change the row 1 we write here, and after row 2, row 3 and row 4 value we write as it is. Okay, so we put the operation in row 2 plus 6 into r1 row 1. So here we put the operation in row 2. Row 2 value is minus 6, so minus 6 plus 6 into r1 value is 1, so the answer is 6. So the answer is minus 6 plus 6 is equal to 0. So we put the row 1 and so we put the row 2 and column 1 value is 0, and again we put the column 2 row 2 operation. The r2 value is 8 and r1 value is minus 0 0.7, so we put the operation thus values r2 8 plus 6 into minus 0 0.7. So we solve with this equation, we will get the value is 3.8, and again we put the operation in row 2 column 3 value minus 1. So we put the operation in r2 is minus 1 and r1 is minus 0 0.3. So here we put the operation thus values. So minus 1, r2 is minus 1 plus 6 into r1 is 0 0.3. So we solve with this equation, so we will get the value is minus 1, and again we put the operation in row 2 and column 5 value is 5. So row 2 r2 value is 5 and r1 value is 0.6. So we put the operation here, so 5 plus 6 into 0 0.6. So when we solve the equation, so the answer will be get at 8.6. Okay, here we write the row 3 and row 4 values as it is. Again we put the operation in r3 row 3, r3 minus 3 into r1. So we put the operation in r3 value is 3 and r1 value is 1. So we put the operation in, so 3 minus 3 into 1, so answer will be 0. So here we write a row 3 column 1 value is 0, and again we put the operation in the next column row 3 value. So r3 value is 1 and r1 value is minus 0 0.7. So we put the operation here, the answer will be 3.1, and again we put the operation in r3. Here the r3 value is 4 and r1 value is 0 0.3. So we solve with this equation, so the answer will be 3.1. So we put the 3.1 in column 3 and row 3 value. Okay, now here we again put the operation r3. Here the r3 value is 11 and r1 value is 0 0.5. So we put the operation here, so 11 minus 3 into 0.5. So we solve with this equation, so the answer will get the value is 9.5, and again we change the r3 value is 2 and r1 value is 0 0.6. So we put the operation here, so the value will be get here 0 0.2, and the row 4 we write as it is 5 minus 9 2 minus 2, 4 and 7. Okay, here in the next step, here we put the operation in R4. R4 value is 5, and so R4 minus 5 into R1. So 5 minus 5 into R1 value is 1. So the answer will be get the value is 0. And again we put the operation in R4. R4 here the R4 value is minus 9 and R1 value is minus 0.7. So the value will be, so we solve this equation and the value will be minus 5.5. So we again put the operation in R4 in column 3. R4 value is minus 2 and R1 value is minus 0.3. So we solve this equation is, and the answer will be get 1.5. And again we put the operation in. So the value is 7 minus 5 into R1 value is 0.6. So with the answer will, so we will get the value is 4. And again we multiply in R2 into 0.2632. So here the R2 value is 0.8 minus 1 and 8.6. So we multiply R2 in value 0.2632. So the value will be changed here, and we write as it is row 1, row 3 and row 4 values only change in R2. So the R2 change value is 0, 1 and 0.215 and 0.2105 minus, and in column 4 the value is minus 0.2632, and column 5 R2 value is 0.2632. And again we put the operation in R1 plus 0.7 into R2. So here we put the operation in R1. So here the R1 value is 1 plus 0.7 into R2. So here the R2 value is 0. So there is no change in R1 in column 1. So we write here 1, and in the second column R1 value is minus 0.7 plus 0.7 into R1 value is 1. So minus 0.7 plus 0.7, the value will be 0. So here we write up in column 2 value is 0. And again we put the operation in R1. Here the R1 value is 0.3 and R2 value is 0.2105. So we will solve the operation in these values, and the value will get the 0.4474. R1 value is 0.5 plus 0.7 into R2 value is minus 0.2632, 0.62. We multiply this and solve the equation, and the value will be 0.3158. And we put the operation R1 and R2. Here the R1 value is 0.6 and R2 value is 2.2632, and we solve the equation and answer will get the value is 2.1842. Okay, and again we put the operation in R3 minus 3 into 1 into R2. So here the R3 value is 0, 3.1, 3.1, 9.5 and 0.2. So we put this R3 row here. Here the R3 value is 0, and here the R3 value is 0 into 3.1 into R2. So R2 value will be and R2 value is 0. So the value will be 0. Okay, so here we write a 0, and again we put the column 2. R3 value is 3.1 minus 3.1 into R1 value is 1. So 3.1 minus 0, 3.1, so 3.1 minus 3.1, the value will be 0. So here we put in column 2 row 3 value is 0, and again we put the operation in R3 value is 3.1 into 3.1 into R2 value is 0.2105, and we perform the operation in this values, and the value will be and the value will be 2.4474. And again we put the column for R3 value is 9.5. So the 9.5 minus 3.1 into R2 value is minus 0.2634, and the value will be 10.3158. And again we put the column 5. R3 value is 0.2. So here 0.2 minus 3.1 into R2 value here 2.6. Here R2 value is 2.2632, and we perform this operation, and the value will be minus 6.8158, and we write as it is row 4. We perform the operation in R4 plus 5.5 into R2. Here the R4 value is 0, minus 5.5, minus 3.5, 1.5 and 4. Okay, here we put the operation in R4 column 1. So R4 value in column 1, R4 value is 0 plus 5.5, R2 value is 0. So the answer will be 0. So we put this and so we write a 0, and again the column 2, R4 value is minus 5.5 plus 5.5 into R1 value is 1. So the answer will be 0, and again we put the in column 3, R4 value is minus 3.5 plus 5.5 into R2 value is 0.2105, and we solve the equation and the value will be minus 2.3421. And again we put the in column for R4 value is 1.5, and we put the operation 1.5, and R2 value is minus 0.2632, and we solve the and we solve this equation and the value will be 0.0526. And again we put the operation in column 5. R4 value is 4 and R2 value is 2.2692, and we put the operation in those value and the value will be 16.4474. Again we put the operation in R3. R3 is equal to R3 into 0.4086, and we put the operation only the R3 value. So here the R3 value is 002.4474, 10.3158, and minus 6.8158. So we multiply those values in 0.4086. So here we write as it is R1, R2 and R4 only multiply into R3. So we multiply in R3, so the value will be 0, 0, 1 and 4.2151 and minus 2.7849. Okay, here we put the operation in R1. R1 value is 1, 0, 0.4474, 0.3158 and 2.1842. Okay, so we put the operation in R1. Here so the R1 value is 1 minus 0.4474 and R3 value is 0. So the answer will be 1. Okay, in the column, and in the column 2, R1 value is 0. R1 value is 0. So there is no effect. The answer will be 0. And we put the, and in column 3, the R1 value is 0.4474 minus 0.4474 into R3. Here the R3 value is 1. So the answer will be, so the value will be 0. And again we put the operation in column 4. R1 value is 0.3158 minus 0.4474 into R1. R1 value here the 4. R3 value here the R3 value is 4.2151. So the value will be 4.2151. And again we put the operation in R1 in column 4, in column R1 in column 5. So the R1 value is 2.1841. So the value, so in column 5, R1 value is 2.1842 in minus 0.4474 into R3 value is minus 2.7849, and we put the operation in those value. So the answer will be minus 2.784. So the answer will be 3.4301, and we write as it is row 3, row 4 and row 2, and we as it is write row 3, row 2 and row 4. And again we put the operation in row 2. Row 2 is equal to row 2 minus 0.2105 into R2 into R3, and we put the operation in row 3. So we will write as it is in row 1, row 3 and row 4 value. Only will be change the R2 value, and we put the operation in all row 2 values. So the value will be 0 in R2 is 0, 1, 0 minus 1.10 minus 1.1505 and 0.8495. Okay, here again we put the operation in R4. R4 is again we put the operation in R4. R4 is equal to R4 plus 3.3421 into R3. So here we no change R1, R2 and R3, only the change here the R4, and the value will be, and the changed R4 value is 0, 0, 0 and 9.24 and the 9.9247, and in the column 5 R4 value is 9.9247. Again we put the operation in R4. R4 divided by 9.9247, and we as it is write R1, R2 and R3, only put the operation in R4. So the R4 changed value is 0, 0, 0, 1 and 1. Okay, now here we put the operation in R1. R1 is equal to R1 plus 1.5699 into R4, and here we change it in the R1. So R1 value is 1, 0, 0 minus 1.5699 and 3.4301. So in the row 1, R1 value is 1 plus 1.5694 and R4 value is 0. So the value will be 1. And again we put the in column 2, R2 value is And again we put the column 2, r1 value is 0 and plus 1.5699 into r4, and r4 value is 0, so the value will be 0, so we write here 0, and we put the operation in column 3, r1 value is 0 and 1.5699 into 0, r4 value is 0, so the value will be again 0, and we put the column 4, r1 value is minus 1.5699 plus 1.5699 into r4 value is 1, so the plus and minus value will be 0, and again we put the in column 5, r1 value is 3.4301 into plus 1.5699 into r4 value is 1, so the answer will be 5. Okay, and in the and we as it is write r2, r3 and r4 value here, and we again put the operation in r2 is equal to r2 plus 1.1505 into r4. Here we know here there is no change in r1, r3 and r4, only change here the r2. So here the R2 value is 0, 1, 0, minus 1.1505 and 2.8495, and we perform these R2 values. We perform in column 1. So column 1 there is a no factor, so the R2 value is 0, and again in column 2 R2 value is no factor, so the value will be 1, and in R2 column 3 value is there is a no factor, so the value is 0, and in the column 4 the value is and in the column 4 the value and in the column 4 r2 value is minus 1.1505 plus 1.1505 into r1, and r1 value is 1, so the plus and minus value will be 0, so here the value will be 0, and in column 5 r2 value is 2.8495 plus 1.1505 into r4 value is 1, so the value is 4, and we as it is write r1, r3 and r4, and we again put the operation in r3 is equal to r3 minus 4.2151 into r4. Here there is no change in r1, r2 and r4, only change here the r3, so the r3 so in column 1, column 2 and column 3 value will be no change, and in column 4 r3 value is 4.2151 in minus 4.2151 into 4 r4 value is 1, so there is value is 0, and in the column 5 r3 value is minus 2.7849 minus 4.2151 into r1 into r4, and r4 value is 1, so the value will be minus 7, and we as it is write r4. Okay, so here you can see that we reduce the coefficient in the matrix into a diagonal matrix. So we write as this equation this matrix is form of equation. So here we write as in equation form: a is equal to 5, b is equal to 4, and c is equal to minus 7, and d is equal to 1, and the solution by the Guess Jordon elimination method, and the answer and the coefficient a value is 5, coefficient b value is 4, and coefficient c value is minus 7, and d is equal to 1. So here the answer will be completed. Okay guys, thank you for watching my YouTube channel.